Hello everyone and welcome to another video, and today we're going to be looking at the Takeda's Court box set for Test of Honor. Now I was very lucky and Graham from Grey For Now Games has sent this to me to have a look at, so let's get on with it. The box is the normal high quality artwork that you can expect from Grey For Now Games, and this box set looks really interesting. Now as you can see, we've got quite a few mounted characters in here. Now the blurb on the back basically reads, famed for their devastating cavalry charges, the Takeda clan rides forth led by the great general Takeda Shingen. They're supported by a wise tutor, the court falconer, and the imposing clan champion. So this box set has quite a few characters in it, with a bit of variety between mounted and dismounted. Now, as I've said before, you get this really nice artwork which is all over the box, so let's just get stuck into it. Inside we have the normal nice insert which contains all the miniatures, so just move this to one side, and we have a plastic sprue of War Games Atlantic horses. Now I've not actually seen these before, but they have a really nice level of detail, and something I wasn't aware of before is that they come with separate saddles. Now these actually slot on really nicely over the bodies when they're actually stuck together, and these horses were just quite a nice change from the ones that I've been working on before. As with a lot of kits these days, the bases that are supplied are MDF bases, and this comes with 3 small ones for the infantry characters and 3 large ones for the mounted characters. Now you could swap these out for 25mm and 40mm metal washers, but in this case I'm just going to carry on and use these. Moving on to the miniatures, they're supplied really clean. There was very little flash on these. This is the clan champion. I really like the pose he's in. We'll go on to that in a little while, but with that sword over his shoulder he really does look at ease but ready to sort of jump into combat. The next miniature to look at is the Samurai Linebreaker, the mounted Samurai Linebreaker I should say, and again these miniatures aren't overly cluttered with detail, and the armour, which samurai armour can be quite sort of daunting to paint, so they haven't sort of included lots of little bits of unnecessary detail on there. This is the falconer and does what it says on the tin. He's got a falcon. Obviously there's a little bit of flash to clean up here and there from the casting process, but no more than any other miniature set. This miniature, the tutor, is a sort of wise old man who I assume is following Takeda Shingen around as he's reading his book, and is a really nice single one-piece cast. This is the only multi-part model apart from the horses in the set, the Onobu Geisha. Her sword arm, as she's sort of stabbing downwards, comes separate. There's a small tab to remove, but that wasn't too much trouble at all. And finally, Takeda Shingen himself. This is a really nice model in quite an imposing pose, but again, really impressive for a single piece cast, and very minor cleanup required. As with all Test of Honor sets, the whole pack is accompanied by a really nice array of stat and skill cards, also allowing you multiple ways to field your warband. So if we take a look at the main guy here, Takeda Shingen himself, and his very impressive stat line, we can see that he costs 8 points, and he's got a really nice skill which allows him to reactivate, or activate rather, another cavalry model to charge. Looking at the Noble Onobu Geisha, this version of her is a character as denoted by the symbol in the top left hand corner. Now some of these models like her start with a skill card. She starts with the Galloping Charge card, which allows her, basically if her charge starts further away from the target, then she gets a bit of a bonus on the attack roll. Now the same is true here for the Samurai Linebreaker, which again is a really nice set of skill points. He can be fielded as a character or as a minion. Same with the clan champion. Again, he's got a really brutal stat line, and I'm really looking forward to fielding him. And there are options in here, as I say, to field these guys as followers rather than characters. Now I had a quick tot up, and you can field a legal game force in here for about 25 points, leaving you a little bit of room to get you up to the standard game of 30. That would give you 3 characters, but of course because you can swap things around a little bit, it really just gives you some options and different playstyles. Obviously if you take the Samurai Linebreaker as a character rather than a follower, then he has access to a few more skills. But overall this guy, really nice to tutor. He lets you basically pick a skill card to bring in to the game to benefit the rest of your faction, so he's all about buffing. Now the skill cards are really nice, and there is a whole array of them, not just ones that are available to these characters, but ones that you can add to your skill deck to influence the game. And then there's quite a nice card at the end that you can use to upgrade everybody. Okay, so that is a very quick look at everything that you get in the box, but let's get these models undercoated so you can see how they come out. I undercoated all of the models in a Zenithal Prime. I used Chaos Black over all of them, and then I hit them from a 45-degree angle from above with White Scar. I also used Milliput just to build up the bases a little bit so those integral bases wouldn't sit out quite so much. The Samurai Line Breaker has a lot of really nice detail on it, and the sort of resting pose is going to be quite interesting to paint. In contrast to that, the Onobu Geisha is sort of in more of an action pose and leaning forward. Retrospectively, I probably wouldn't have glued this one to the horse before painting it, just because there were some fairly hard to reach areas. The standout model in here for me is this one, Takeda Shingen, but also I do really like one of the others, which I'll point out in a second. The Wise Tutor is a very simple model, but even here with the pre-shading you can really appreciate the sort of subtle sculpting that's gone into it. This is my other favourite model. This is the Clan Champion. I think I already said earlier on, but I just really like the pose and all the details on the armour. The Court Falconer, again, just really interesting, and there was a lot of details that came out on the bird here which I didn't actually notice when I was looking at the model just on its own in its metal form. Anyway, I decided that I would basically tackle these all at once and just work on every part of so all of the armour at the same time, and then all of the flesh at the same time. And well, here they are. So I eventually settled on a blue colour scheme for the samurai. Now, I know that historically the Takeda clan wore red armour, so that's not quite historically accurate. However, I'm very unlikely to be using these as Takeda Shingen himself. I may do for a couple of games, and I've got some plans of what to do with this set. But, you know, a lot of the time I just really fancied painting blue. I seem to be on the blue thing at the moment. I used the base of Ultramarine from the Contrast Paint range by Games Workshop, and then mixing that with other GW colours, I just worked up the highlights across all of it. And I've just tried to keep to sort of the same sort of family of colours, so blues, light blues, and then contrasting that with reds and deep oranges. This model was great fun to paint, and a bit like the box art, I decided to put him on a white horse. I kept the paint scheme on the horse very simple. I decided that because there was so much detail on the armour, I didn't want to really take away from that and leave the model on the horse as the focal point. Much the same for the Samurai Linebreaker, I decided to keep the horse very simple. The reins are just done with flat snakebite leather from the Contrast range, and the armour is exactly the same method that I used on Takeda. I decided to make him look kind of old, like he's been with his master for a long time, maybe served his father, and he's following him into battle as he always has. Now, the model that I probably had the most trouble with was the Onobu Geisha, and that is simply because of the pose with the sword in front of the body, but that's just simply down to me not painting it separately before I stuck it on. It still wasn't that hard, I just maybe couldn't get some of the parts of the armour on the front as well as I would have liked. Also, same again, I kept the horse simple just to not detract any attention away from the armour and the details on the model. Now, as I said before, this is my other favourite model from the set. This is the Clan Champion. Now, this is the only model who is wearing the complete samurai armour. He's also got the mask on as well, and mainly blues. So this was actually the model that I completed first, and I did all of the testing of the armour on, and I'm really pleased with how he came out. I used Space Wolves Grey to highlight the sword, and then I came back and just added some little touch highlights along the edge. I tried to keep the Wise Tutor just very simple, again just using that blue colour scheme and just varying it a little bit by giving him a black grey garment over the top of it. Finally, we have the falconer. Now, believe it or not, I don't paint many birds, so I had to look at a couple of pictures of how to do this, and I'm really pleased with how it came out. I really like the addition of the sort of leather jacket over the top of his armor, as well as the satchel as well, and it really gives him a sort of a nice scout look. And the falcon itself was a lot of fun to paint, but I didn't want to overdo things, so I just kept it as very straightforward, just brown, and then worked up some cream to white highlights. Now, overall, I really enjoyed painting this set. I honestly can't think of anything negative to say. The only problems I had were created by myself by gluing one model onto the horse. As far as Test of Honor, the game itself goes, I wouldn't necessarily suggest this set for somebody who's just starting out. There are quite a few synergies in here which I think could trip new players up. However, this is a brilliant way to expand your forces after a couple of games and you've gotten used to the rules and the way that your army work. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this. I've got another set from Test of Honor to go through that I've very kindly been sent, and then we're going to be playing some games with them to see how both of the forces go. I hope you enjoyed this review video. Remember to go check out Grey for Now Games where you can find this set, and I'll leave all the links down below, and check out their Facebook as well because they've got a really friendly community online. Anyway, I hope you're all well. I'll leave up some photos and I'll see you all again soon. Cheers.